Hello everyone, welcome back to the episode of Sushi. Shut up, Sushi's here, where I talk and you Sushi. And today's episode, we have a very special guest. There are many people in the furry fandom who suffer from chronic illnesses, diseases, and disabilities. And they get a lot of hate for no reason. Many of them are very misunderstood and have to struggle through day-to-day life. So here, helping me to discuss this topic is the wonderful Oakley8bit. Hi Oakley.
Hi, I'm here joined by my little gremlin babies.
So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, of course. So my name is Oakley. I have my sister Oakley and also my side character Dino. I am an artist. I'm also a part-time cosplayer, a gamer, and a chronic illness warrior.
Awesome. I love that title, Chronic Illness Warrior. One of my questions was going to be, what do you call yourself? So is that what you're going to go by, a chronic illness warrior, survivor?
Most definitely, either chronic illness warrior or ill icon. Either one of those is pretty solid for me.
Okay, so what type of chronic illness do you have?
All right, let me go ahead and put these down so I can talk to you.
You're beautiful boys.
So, I am diagnosed with COPD, which is a chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. I'm also suffering from fibromyalgia. And recently, unfortunately, I have been experiencing seizures. So that's another one to add to the Holy Trinity, if you will.
Oh my gosh. So I'm no doctor. What does I don't even remember what it was. So COPD, is that what you said?
Yeah, so the first one is COPD. That is a chronic lung disease.
All right. So when were you diagnosed?
So so when it comes to diagnosis, unfortunately, it's just an ongoing thing. This is what I currently have. But basically, when my health issues started was in high school, when I was 16. And it just happened suddenly. It was super quick. I was in the middle of taking a test. As you could probably guess, I didn't study for that test, by the way. I didn't study for that at all.
But did you pass?
And so, actually, I did. I passed 70-something. So, you know what?
Lovely.
At least something came out of it, right? But basically what happened was mid-test, I just had this insane instant pain on one side of my body. I didn't know what was going on, and I'm like, let me try to go to the bathroom. So I get up, I go, and immediately I fall on the floor. I lost mobility in the right side of my body. I couldn't breathe. I was turning blue on one side. I had to have classmates help carry me down the stairs to get to a nurse. And it was just a whole mess. And basically my parents were like, something is wrong. We got to take her to the hospital. And so they did. They ran tests, they did an x-ray, did an MRI, and they saw that my right lung had actually collapsed and exploded. I say the word exploded because it's the best way I can describe it, but basically it just burst. And so they had to do 2 surgeries to correct that, just to get it to function normally, because I just was not able to breathe on my own. So we did 2 surgeries, and basically with how it is now, I'm still experiencing lung issues to this day, although going into it, they said, you'll be fine, you'll have a full recovery, but truly, it's never been a full recovery, and unfortunately, it's just kind of gone downhill since then.
Oh my lord, I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
That's rough. Oh my gosh. I have a few other personal questions. When did you become a furry?
Basically, I've always been a furry, but I never identified the label to it until recently. Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. For me, it was I identified as a furry about, I want to say now, about 5 years ago. But growing up, I was always involved with Disney. Disney was always my go-to. I was a Barney fan back in the day. If any of the furries out there know what Barney is, huge fan. And I never identified the name to it until I started getting more involved online. And I'm like, wait, so this is called this. So that must mean I'm this. And so that's where my basic coming out, if I can describe it as anything, that's when I was finally like, oh, wait, there's something for this. There's a community for this. They're called furries. Okay, then I must
unrelated question that I didn't write down, but has being a furry helped you with, I guess, dealing with your chronic illness, like the reality of it?
Definitely, it's definitely been an escapism. So, but again, that's kind of an escapism for, I want to say for almost all of us that are fursuiters, because truly, it's like I can put on the suits and just be goofy and silly, and it's just so, simply, it's just so much fun. And it does provide a really great distraction from, like, the daily pains that I do deal with. And it just allows me to kind of let loose and have fun and just kind of forget about that aspect of my life just for a little bit.
Aww. So what is your biggest struggle with being a furry and a person that is a CIP or chronic illness person?
A couple of the biggest biggest issues with being a chronic illness person and also being a fursuiter is just a lack of resources. Basically just meaning that there's not a lot of makers out there that deal with suitors that are chronically ill, and so they don't know that, you know, there's certain customizations that they could do to really help their clients, or just simply it's just not in the maker's capability. Mm-hmm. And the other aspect to that is just a lack of awareness. A lot of furs in the community are very welcoming, which is super great about the community, because as a whole, it's super welcoming. But a lot of people don't know how to handle someone who's chronic illness in real life, like in real time, or just have a friend that goes through it. And so what's hard is just the social disconnects sometimes. They just truly, they haven't experienced somebody in their real life that goes through chronic pain or goes through chronic illness, and so they just genuinely just don't know what to do or just know how to handle it.
Wow. When it comes to, I guess, suit making, or when you're trying to get a suit, do you mainly pick suits that have like a bigger mouth, or you try to pick suits that look like they can give you an advantage?
Yeah, so basically when it comes to suit selection now, beforehand, so just as an example, Oakley8bit, which is the guy that I showed in the beginning of the video, he was made as a bucket style. Now, unfortunately, one aspect to it as well is that I've had to completely change the type of suits that I invest in simply because of my illnesses. Because unfortunately, since he was created, it has gotten worse. And so there's more adjustments that I would need to make now with being a suitor. So unfortunately, with Oakley's head, with it being a bucket style, for me, it's just no longer suitable. Now, if you ask somebody else that may have similar issues, they may say, oh, bucket style works for me. But for me personally, it just no longer suits me, pun intended.
So it varies from like person to person, depending on like how you feel, right?
Right, exactly. So everybody's illnesses are unique, and even with people that have the same illnesses, their experiences will vary. It truly depends on a variety of factors.
How has having a chronic illness impacted your day-to-day life?
In my day-to-day, this is just something I've unfortunately have had to completely change my life around. And with being a teenager, that was very hard to do at first, because I was a very active teenager. I literally would run 2 miles every single day. I was a weightlifter. Like, I was also a dancer. And truly, just that flip of having to completely change my life like that was very jarring as a teenager. And already going through all the high school stuff to add into that little bucket. But in my day-to-day, I have to constantly be vigilant. And I constantly have to evaluate myself and my energy levels and saying, okay, I feel kind of today. I can handle maybe these few things today, but I definitely won't be able to handle that. So it's almost like you're bargaining with your body to, I guess, see what can you handle, what can you not handle, and just being constantly aware and feeling even just the subtle bit of changes in your body. You have to act on it pretty quick, because if you actively choose to ignore it, you pay the consequences later.
How has having a chronic illness or your chronic illness impacted being a furry content creator?
It impacts me a lot behind the scenes, and I don't bring much light to that, but truly it is a process. with being a working adult and having to have a job still and doing that, it already takes so much energy out of the week as it is. And so when it comes to being a content creator, truly I have to film sometimes when I am feeling my absolute worst, just simply because I need to have content to push out. And it's also just so frustrating when you're going through a flare-up, you're pushing it, you are trying to film, you're going at this for hours, and then come to find out that something's not right with the video. At the end of that, I've got nothing. I've got no energy left. And I'm like, are you kidding me? This is what I have to work with? Oh. But truly, people don't know the sacrifices behind the scenes. And I'm feeling okay right now.
Okay,
good. To give an
good.
example, I am going through kind of a little bit of a flare-up, but it's on like the minimal side of it. Like it's like here, like I can manage this. I can't manage this, but I can manage this. So that's where we're at.
Okay, good.
Yeah, you're good. You're good. No worries.
I almost had a heart
As
attack.
an example, if I were to film right now, like just to film the videos I need for the week, which will take about a couple of hours, maybe even 3 hours, I'm wiped out. I would be wiped out for the rest of the day.
Must take a lot of energy, huh?
It does, and you know, it does, even if you were just a healthy person. Fursuiting is an exhausting thing. Even with healthy people, they will tell you that fursuiting is an exhausting task.
When is it okay to ask questions or make jokes?
Okay, so this is important. Mm-hmm. You basically, if you're meeting somebody who is chronically ill and you just kind of want to joke at them, poke at them, you want to allow that person to set the boundaries and set what they're comfortable with. So they may or may not be comfortable with sharing their medical history. I mean, you're not obligated to share that. But you're also obligated if you want to share it. So basically what I'm saying is you need to leave it to that person to set the boundary and what they are comfortable with. Some people are not comfortable with sharing everything that they're going through behind the scenes, and they just don't want to think about that, or they just don't want to bring it up because it can be socially a little weird. But then there's the other half of it where they are comfortable with sharing, and they're okay to talk about it. So truly, you just have to leave it up to the person to set that boundary. And then once you get those little glimmers, like if they start joking, like, you know, I spent half the day in the bathroom, and it's like, you know what? Relatable. That is me after Taco Bell. Like, it's just you just gotta gauge it. You gotta see what that person is comfortable with and just go off of that.
Is it okay to ask that person, like, hey, how open are you with your medical history? Or, hey, how open are you with jokes?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's okay to ask. Just to come from a place of sincerity, obviously. There's a right and wrong way to go about saying things. As long as you come from a place of sincerity, just say, hey, I noticed you talked about your chronic illness, or I noticed you talked about this. Are you okay to talk about that? And if they say no, you leave it, and you're like, all right, I got my answer. This is fine. And if they say yes, then you got the green light, and you can talk about it.
Has there ever been a time where you felt out of place?
Oh, a lot. I constantly feel out of place. I constantly feel out of place. Like, being a furry, you just constantly feel out of place, you know, but...
Particularly with your chronic illness, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. But for me, when it comes to just feeling out of place with chronic illness, it's when you're around friends that are healthier that just do not get at least a little tidbit of what it's like, or know somebody that does. If they're just simply blessed with health, with a fountain of health, and they don't have any family members or any friends that are chronically ill, trying to explain, you know, hey, I need to be within certain feet of a bathroom today, or hey, I gotta rest a lot, or I gotta set time aside to lay down. And that does feel out of place, because obviously there's just that disconnect. And so at least in my experiences, I try to even that playing field and try to get them to be like, okay, like, I just need these things and I'll be okay, I promise.
Do you feel accommodated for in cons, meets, and any other fursuiting event?
Yes and no, because it's less about accessibility for me personally. Now, for some people that are chronically ill or disabled, they need that accessibility. They need to be able to have ramps to physically go places. For me, I don't feel accommodated in the sense of a lot of conventions I've seen just genuinely do not have enough restrooms, or not restrooms, but headless lounges. There you go. Mm-hmm. They don't have as many headless lounges out and about and kind of dispersed evenly throughout the convention space. And so a lot of the struggles that I find is, first of all, trying to find one. Secondly, trying to find one that's within reasonable distance that I can walk to at that point. I feel like a lot of cons just do not have enough of those. I wish I could see more of that. But mostly for me, the accommodation aspect is just mostly just with people generally. A lot of people that I've been around, they just don't understand that I have a limit and there's only so much I can do. And there's a type of, con goer that wants to go crazy and wants to go, I'm going to go here, I'm going to go here, I'm going to go do this, I'm going to go do this, I'm going to go to the dance, I'm going to go to all these panels, and just generally not stopping. And I can't keep up with that. Like, your girl's got, this many spoons today, and we've already used all of them. Like, I can't keep up, basically. And so...
Does your handler have to, compensate for you? Do they have to really be aware of what's going on?
Oh, yes. So, for the job of being my handler, I leave it to my most trusted people. Mm-hmm. I do not let anybody handle me, simply because most people, if I were just to ask a random congoer, hey, can you be my handler? They're not going to truly know what to look for with me, because I'm a pusher. I push my limits a lot. And I have to have that voice of reason sometimes, because I'm just so caught up in the moment of being in suit and just feeling so happy and so euphoric and just goofy and silly that I just forget, oh yeah, you need to rest for a second. Like, you need to chill out for a second. And so I leave that up to the people I trust. And those are people that are aware of what to look for with me and say, all right, Oakley, let's go now. We gotta go sit down. And I'm like, you know what, you're right. We'll go now.
What is one of the most annoying assumptions people make about you based off of your chronic illness?
Oh boy, I got a good one. Are we ready for this?
Yeah, let me get my popcorn.
Right, here we go.
I'm getting my popcorn.
I do not appreciate being treated like an infant or treated like I am a child because of my chronic illnesses.
So kind of building off of that, what is one of the worst people interactions you've had?
So this is a fun one.
Okay.
So this wasn't at a furry convention, but this was at a meetup, and I don't talk to this person anymore. And unfortunately, this type of person I've met multiple times in my lifetime. As a matter of fact, I have some family that's like this. But basically, when you're a furry that's in the South, and you're chronically ill, and you talk about it, a lot of the things that you get fed are, you must not pray hard enough. If you pray hard enough, it's going to wipe away all of your sickness. And it's one of the most frustrating things to say, I'm a believer, I have chronic illnesses, and I do pray. But you know what? Thank you for assuming, and thank you for the unhelpful advice. And truly, that's one of the worst interactions I've had, is basically saying, you're experiencing this because you don't pray hard enough, and it's like, wow. Oh, anything that I want to cover?
Yeah, anything specifically? Because I have 2 more questions left.
Yeah, definitely. So, this goes out to my chronic illness people. If you are looking for fursuit options, if you're a little worried about wearing, the traditional, fursuit, bucket style, if you're worried about that, I have a couple of suggestions for you. Let me go ahead and get Dino. So, Dino, it's her severed head. Dino is actually not fully furred, as much as it looks like. She actually has a hat that is a separate piece from her. But Dino masks have been a lifesaver for me when it comes to having the options. If I'm feeling good or if I'm not feeling good. But Dino is probably, or just Dino masks generally, are really, really great at not only with the open mouth to get some ventilation going in, but the huge eyes and even just the nostrils here will bring in more ventilation for you. So this is incredibly helpful. It is lightweight. And there's a lot of customization options that you can do with them as well. Literally, the options are limitless when it comes to Dynamas. They make for a great base. So definitely, I would encourage you chronic illness people, if you want to get involved, but you're not sure how or what's accommodating, Dynamas definitely a good way to start. The second thing that I'll show is this is Oakley 3.0. He is in the works. But this is a base.
He's so cute.
This is a 3D printed base. So as you can see, there's no hole in the middle of that. There was a reason for it. It's actually for ventilation. It will be covered, obviously. But with 3D printed, not only is it more durable, but as you can see, there are a ton of ventilation holes specifically etched in here, as well as on the sides and on the bottom. This is also including that it's open on the side as well, and the eyes, and of course the nose. This is just how I wanted it to come. But truly, these are more lightweight. They offer better vision and better ventilation. And kind of like the Dynomask, they're really good when it comes to switching out if you want to, or if you just want something that's more lightweight. These are definitely the way to go.
Is there any advice you can give healthier people to better take care of someone who is a CIP?
Absolutely. So the key thing is just awareness. Again, most chronic illness people, we are not looking forward to be babied at all. We're not looking for somebody to take care of us. We are just looking for people that understand the basics, or at least just understand it, and offer resources and offer help when it's needed. Also, do not give them such a hard time. Us chronically ill people, we have to make the tough choices every day to say, no, I can't go to that outing, or I can't do those things that you guys are doing, or I need moderation with this. Like, can we do this instead? Basically, what's needed is just patience and understanding. Just to say, we're not choosing to not hang out with you, or we're not choosing to do those things because we don't like you. That's not the case at all. Just genuinely, we are just looking out for our health, and we're still looking to have fun too. Like, don't count us out too early. There's activities that we can do with moderation, or we could do normally. But truly, just looking for that openness, that communication, and understanding.
Okay, so for any of the viewers watching who may have a chronic illness, disability, or disease, what would you tell them?
Definitely don't let other people discourage you from your truth. You know exactly what your body is going through. You know everything that you have going for you and against you. Do not let the opinions of other people dictate how you feel about yourself. Like, you warriors are going through too much as it is already. You guys are putting up the fight in just your regular day-to-day. Do not let other people's opinions affect how you view yourself. And you are a warrior. You are a chronic illness warrior. And you put up that fight every single day just to push through it. And from one chronic illness person to another, or disabled, I'm very proud of y'all. And you just keep on being you. Amen.
Yes, that was beautiful. That is all the questions we have for you, Oakley. Thank you so much for joining us today. And, just telling me about the, the struggles you guys go through, as there are a lot of furries out there who are struggling, and they really needed your words of advice. Everyone watching, please go follow Oakley, all of their amazing socials they post, God-tier content. So, I'll see you guys next week. Goodbye! Hey guys, sorry it's late. I forgot to read out my special patrons. So shout out to Bear Sinus, Moss Mars, Titus Saver, Splinter 6, Jessica Tiger, Lady Lazarus, Coffee House Canine, Giving to Cool People, Simply Plays, Absolute Chaotic Mess, and Gay Addict. Without these guys, YouTube would not be possible. So please go check out my Patreon. Link in the description. Love you all. Goodbye.